Your father has a nightly habit, a small gesture of love that is as constant as the rising sun. He calls out your mother, Yobo, and she always responds with a gentle hum. It is a quiet conversation between two people, a beautiful, simple ritual. On this night, however, something is wrong. He calls out Yobo, but there is no reply. He calls again, louder this time. Silence. A silence heavier than the winter wind and far more terrifying. The warmth of the Ondol, the very thing that promised safety, has become a silent, invisible killer. Your father, panicked, grabs your mother and drags her out of the warm room into the freezing night. Her body, heavy and unresponsive, is a dead weight. You see the shock on his face, the desperation as he tries to wake her. The family gathers around, helpless, terrified for her and the life she carried inside. It's a scene you've heard 100 times, a personal tragedy that stands in the larger context of the Joseon dynasty and its heating systems. This is the hidden story of the Ondol, a secret that lies beneath the surface of cozy blankets and family gatherings. It is a story of how a system of warmth and comfort could, in a moment of unseen failure, turn into a silent killer. Now, take a moment to reflect on where this story begins. You are there, in a small room in Seoul. The year doesn't matter. What matters is the feeling. Outside, the air bites with the final sting of a late Korean winter. But here, inside, you are safe. You are warm. You're lying on the floor, your small body curled over a cozy blanket, belly pressed against the heated ground. The warmth sinks deep into your skin, a golden weight that makes you never want to leave. This is the purest form of love you have ever known. This is the story your mother told you of her time unconscious is a mesmerizing curiosity. She was walking through a dark tunnel, feeling breathless, her strength failing. She saw a light, a tiny pinprick of hope in the vast darkness, and she gathered every ounce of her remaining will to walk toward it. When she reached the light, it wasn't the end of the tunnel, but the light of the stars in the night sky. She was outside, surrounded by her panicked family. It was a waking dream, a terrifying journey between life and death that ended with her hearing your father's frantic prayers. You realize that your own life, your ability to tell this story is a direct result of this beautiful, tragic dream. It's a historical narrative that is more than just facts. It's a living part of you. But what exactly was this unseen killer that lived in the warmth? And how did a system of comfort become so dangerous? The memory of that night lingers like a cold wind. But now you are turning away from the chilling darkness and stepping back into the light, into a time of simpler warmth. You are back in the countryside, visiting your maternal grandparents. This isn't a single memory, but a patchwork of sun-drenched afternoons and starlit nights, all centered around a profound and comforting warmth. You feel the change as soon as you arrive. The air is crisp and clean, but the cold is still a presence, waiting just outside the wooden walls. The village is a quiet masterpiece of traditional Korean architecture. You see the giwa-jeep, the tiled roof house that serves as your grandparents' main home. Its elegant, sweeping curves are a symbol of permanence and tradition. And then you see the choga-jeep, the thatched roof house, a more humble structure built on the apple farm, with its thick, golden straw roof. It's a wonderful contrast, isn't it? To think that your grandparents, with their deep understanding of the land, would build a second home, a sanctuary of practicality, so they could work the land more easily. You run your hand over the mud walls and the aged wooden frames, feeling a deep connection to the past, to the generations that came before you who felt this exact same cold and this exact same comfort. And a new aroma fills the warm air. It's the smell of dinner, a rich and hearty scent of stew and rice that promises to fill your belly and warm you from the inside out. The Ondol floor, the source of all this physical comfort, now becomes the stage for the social heart of the family.
You see two small tables being set. This is not a mistake. It is a tradition as old as the mountains that surround the village. One table is for the men, the fathers and grandfathers, and the other is for the women, the mothers and grandmothers. It's a clear separation, a visual representation of the rigid Confucian ideals that shaped life in the Joseon dynasty. It might feel strange to you now, but back then, it was a normal and expected part of life. Men and women lived in separate spaces, often eating their meals apart, a strong social norm that reflected the deep-seated hierarchy of the time. You watch as the men's table is filled with the best dishes, meat stews, rich seafood, and an abundance of side dishes. Your mother's table has a smaller variety with fewer expensive ingredients. It's a subtle but undeniable detail that speaks volumes about the world you are in. And yet, you, a child, are sitting at the men's table. It's a place of honor, perhaps a privilege of your age, a rare exception to the rules that govern your family. It puts you in a unique position, close to the quiet conversations of your father and grandfather. Meanwhile, your younger brother sits at the women's table with your mother, who has to feed him because he is still too little to eat on his own. This small detail tells a larger story, doesn't it? It reveals how rules are often bent and reshaped by the practical realities of a family's love, even in the most traditional of homes. But beyond the warmth and family love, what was the true global history of this ingenious system? How did a technology that began in the homes of the poor become a necessity for kings and a source of a massive ecological crisis?
Let's settle in and imagine the simpler, but no less dramatic, world of Joseon. For a long time, Ondol was a technology of limited use, a simple and rustic method of heating often associated with the lower classes. The wealthy used charcoal braziers, which were considered more refined. But as the Little Ice Age settled over the Korean peninsula in the 16th and 17th centuries, the Ondol system became a necessity, and its use spread rapidly among all classes. The cold, you realize, was a great equalizer, forcing everyone to adopt this ingenious technology to survive. It's a fascinating bit of history, isn't it? To think that a global climate shift fundamentally changed the way people lived inside their own homes. You wake from a deep and peaceful sleep surrounded by the warmth of your family. The winter wind is still howling outside, but you are a small, safe island in a sea of cold. You get up and feel that the room is still warm from the heat of the night. You look at the floor, and you see it. A large, darker stain, a visible scar that marks the source of all the warmth. It's a blemish that to a child's eyes might seem out of place, but to you now, it's a beautiful testament to a life lived, a symbol of the Ondol system. This stain marks the heart of the system, the place where the heat entered the room. It's a point of curious beauty and hides the incredible engineering that created your comfort. Underneath the floor, a complex network of flues and chimney, a maze-like system called gore, guides the heat and smoke. A fire is lit in the furnace, the aguni, and the hot smoke and gases travel through these flues, heating the large flat stones, the gudeljang, that form the floor of the room. The hot gases then exit through a chimney, the gultuk, a tall structure that you remember seeing on every house. This ingenious design meant that the same fire used to cook the family's meals could also heat the entire home, a testament to the efficient, resourceful nature of Joseon-era living. For a long time, the Ondol system was powered by burning wood. While improperly ventilated wood fires posed the risk of asphyxiation from smoke, they were a familiar, visible danger.
But in the city, a different kind of fuel became common, the intine, or coal briquettes, which were used both for cooking and for heating. This was a technological adaptation that allowed the Ondol to thrive in a more urban environment, making it more accessible and practical for families like yours. However, these briquettes carried a deadly secret. Unlike wood, which burned cleanly, the intine produced carbon monoxide, an odorless and tasteless gas. This gas, the very same silent killer that attacked your family, was the byproduct of its efficient combustion. If there were unseen cracks in the floor or the underground flues, this gas would seep into the room, turning a peaceful sleep into a silent, terrifying final moment. This was a flaw not of carelessness, but of the very architecture of survival. Historians still debate the true origin of the Ondol system. Some say it's a uniquely Korean invention, while others argue it shares roots with similar ancient heating systems in Siberia and North China. But what is not debated is its profound impact on Korean culture. The Ondol floor wasn't just for sleeping. It was a place for sitting, eating, and gathering. It was the center of social life, the true heart of the home. But a system that brings comfort for the many, could it also provide an unimaginable luxury for the few? And what was the terrible environmental cost of this ingenious technology?
It's strange, isn't it, to think that the warmth you feel, a warmth so essential to your family's winter survival, was also a source of a massive ecological crisis. Historians still debate whether the widespread demand for Ondol firewood during the late Joseon period was a significant cause of the deforestation that plagued the peninsula. It's a somber thought that the very thing that brought so much comfort inside the home came at such a high cost to the world outside. A curious side note to this is how the Ondol's constant warmth allowed for some very unusual luxuries. The annals of the Joseon dynasty contain a record of royal tributes of flowers in the middle of winter, made possible by heated greenhouses, an ordinary technology of survival for the many, a source of luxury for the few. But the Ondol is more than just a stage for eating. After dinner, the Ondol room undergoes its final transformation for the day. The tables are cleared away, and the room becomes a massive bed. The entire floor is covered with thick, padded blankets and large pillows. It's a communal space, a shared experience of rest and security. The women sleep in one room and the men in another. You and your younger brother are nestled among the women, feeling the warm, gentle pressure of other bodies around you. The room is small, the family is large, but there is always a space for everyone on the Ondol floor. It is a profound feeling of being part of something bigger than yourself, a physical warmth that is mirrored by the emotional warmth of the family. I remember the men in the next room playing the card game Go Stop with the plastic Hwatu cards, and the women eating sweet potatoes and talking. This small room, you realize, is the epicenter of the entire household's social life, a space created and defined by the Ondol floor. You close your eyes, and in the comfort of this memory, you can almost hear the pleasant tech of the Hwatu cards being thrown down on the warm floor. A sound that, for you, is as much a part of this time as the Ondol itself. You feel a subtle movement next to you and hear the gentle rustle of a blanket. Someone is getting up. It might be your grandmother going to the corner of the room to use the chamber pot, a practical curiosity of life in a time before indoor plumbing. Or it might be your grandfather heading to the fire pit to add more wood to ensure the warmth for everyone. The sound is a quiet reassurance that the world is still turning, that the family is safe. You run your hand over the floor and feel a faint warmth, a ghost of the heat that was once there. You remember the love and the laughter, and you also remember the quiet terror of that night, and you realize that they are two sides of the same coin. The Ondol was a system of comfort and a system of danger, but above all, it was a system that allowed your family to survive, to thrive, and to pass their stories on to you.
And that is where the story of the Ondol ends for a child, but not for history. You realize now that the Ondol floor, with its dark stain and its secret warmth, is a symbol not just of a heating system, but of an entire way of life. It's a story of resourcefulness, of family, of love, and of survival. It reminds you that history is not just a list of dates and facts, but a tapestry woven from the daily lives, the quiet traditions, and the cherished memories of real people. It is in these intimate details, the two dinner tables, the shared warmth of a single room, the faint scent of charcoal and wood smoke, that the past truly comes alive. So as we bring our journey to a close, take a moment to reflect on your own family stories. What small everyday things define your heritage? What traditions carry a hidden history within them? We can learn so much about ourselves by looking back at the simple lives of those who came before us. All right, before you dive in, if you're into the kind of stories I'm telling, stories that explore the human heart of history, hit that subscribe button. Now drop a comment and tell me what part of your own family history fascinates you most. I love to hear it. And as you go about your day, remember that history is not something that happened long ago in a far-off place. It's a living thing, a whisper in your memories, a warmth under your feet. They are no longer here, but their stories, their laughter, and their struggles still live on in me. And for a moment, they lived on in you too.